Hello, gang. Welcome in. Good afternoon. And it is the Matt Murphy Radio Show underway for another day. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Glad to have you with us on this Friday, November 3rd, 2023. Allow me a moment or two to inundate you with the pleasantries, and we'll get the show lumbering under its own weight. It is episode 448 of our proceedings on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You're invited to be a part of that. Please listen for as much time as you possibly can. You can listen online, internet streaming, downloadable. All you have to do is find us on the app station of your choosing. Whatever you utilize for your internet streaming pleasure, type in Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and I expect that we will be there. You can also find us on Super Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. We'll get to the title of the television side of things in just a moment. There's also the F&M Bank chat line available for you so you can interact with us. You can also interact by calling us, 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986. We give those numbers often and as quickly as possible just to keep you on your toes. That is also the Super Text line, which is obviously up and running today as well. It's a First Amendment Freestyle Friday, although I have to tell you, it is loaded up, especially for a Friday. We have Fry J coming up at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Our usual visit on these Fridays with our friend Jay St. Clair, my legal correspondent and life consultant. Jay St. Clair will be here at 1:05 this afternoon. At 2:05 this afternoon, Jack Johnson will slip in. Jack is a senator here in the state of Tennessee. He's also the Senate Majority Leader. He also happens to be on the board of the Birmingham Airport. Nashville Airport. I almost said B and A, and then I thought B, and then I thought Birmingham. I don't know why I did it. Because I'm not really here. I'm out of sorts. I've had a different kind of morning this morning, so I apologize in advance for the events that are about to unfold over the next 2 hours and 54 minutes. Matt Griechi, I'm going to mangle his name. I think it's Griechi. I've known Matt for a year and a half now. I've introduced him on this radio show 14 different times, and I still can't pronounce his last name. But he will pronounce his last name at 12:35 as he slips in. He's with Nashville Super Speedway, and he will talk to us about some activities that are going on in Nashville and the culmination of the NASCAR season at 12:35 this afternoon. So we'll discuss that with Matt. And I guess Matt is with more Bristol than Nashville Super Speedway. But they're one and the same. So that's the lineup. Mac Attack at 2:35 this afternoon, never you fear. Although has McMurray informed you, Bell K behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as humanly possible. Has he told you what we're drafting today?
He has not. I mean, and last week we discussed it at length before we did it, and I haven't really had a chance to talk to him.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll find out together. I mean, I'm all good with that.
Maybe condiments.
Ooh, condiments is a good one. What would be if we did condiments, which now we can't do because we're about to discuss it? What would your
No. We're saving it. We're going to save it.
I don't think we should do condiments. You don't get to
not
pick.
today. No, I'm not saying today, but let's not spoil it so we can use it in the future.
I like mustard. Don't you?
You're a mayonnaise guy.
Ranch dressing is a condiment.
I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Honey mustard, a condiment.
Absolutely. That's a beverage.
I would drink it. I would drink it. Bell, we were talking about the television side of things while you were grabbing your headphones there. Super Talk TV up and running, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Episode 448 is running right now. Hello to those of you watching on Super Talk TV. This episode is entitled
Matt Murphy Show, soon to have its own brand of attack drone. The Libertarian Lunch and Military Industrial Complex, noon to 3 p.m.
Well, there you have it.
And once those are out, we'll tell you where you can purchase them.
Libertarian Lunch ongoing right now. Today is the final day that we will be on airwaves during daylight saving time for 2023. This Saturday night into Sunday morning, we will commit to the biannual ritual of moving the time around needlessly and unnecessarily, much to the chagrin of everyone across the United States of America, save portions of, Indiana, I think Arizona, and Hawaii. I believe I have that right. Daylight saving time is a complete waste of time and energy. We should not, you know what we do? Twice a year, and it's most often in the fall time because it's fall back, spring forward, fall back, and everyone wants to spring forward. Everyone gets excited when we go back on daylight saving time. and everyone hates it when we go to standard time, which is what we're about to go to. But standard time isn't that standard for most people. I've long maintained that we should go to this time and then move it up. If we would just split the difference and stop all of these shenanigans, wouldn't everyone be happy? But we don't. And so it is every year around this time, we complain about it for 3 hours or thereabouts. Maybe some days it's more than one show. It's a multitude of shows. And then we don't do anything about it. And because we don't do anything about it, I just, for the life of me, don't understand why we continue to do this.
Matt, without daylight savings time, who is going to build the roads?
The one argument, Bell, that I've heard, and I think it's specious, is that parents don't want their kids standing outside in the early morning hours in the wintertime in the dark waiting on the bus. That's the one argument that I've heard that makes any sense. Now, I would argue that that is not enough for us to go to a standard time year-round. Call it what you will. Call it daylight saving time. Call it standard time. Whatever. But I've long said, why in the world wouldn't we just adjust the time by 30 minutes and then, as 3679 says, just call it a day, man. Just be done with it. And while I'm looking at the super text line, yes, 4460, gravy is a condiment in my household. So perhaps we'll talk about daylight saving time. If you have any thoughts on it, we'll get to you coming up in just a few moments. 615-737-9986. On the serious side of the news, so the House of Representatives has now approved a $14.3 billion package for Israel. And Joe Biden says that he will veto it. The $14.3 billion plan passed 224 to 196. It received a full 12 Democrat votes, lost a couple of Republicans. More on that in a moment. The House passed the bill, sending emergency aid to Israel, helping in its campaign to eradicate Hamas after Democrats crossed party lines and supported the Republican push. Representative Thomas Massey of Kentucky and Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia voted against the legislation on the Republican side. The bill's fate is likely doomed in the Senate. Democrats have insisted aid must be tied to Ukraine. Why? 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 The money comes from an $80 billion boost to the IRS and the Democrat-passed Inflation Reduction Act from the last Congress. Former Speaker Kevin McCarthy's debt limit deal already stripped some of that money away, but much of it remains. This was the money that was set to spend or pay for 85,000 IRS agents that were set to go after auditing richer Americans because, we want richer Americans to feel more pain and to pay their fair share or whatever Democrats are calling it these days.
Did you see the talking point that went out from the DNC on that?
I did not. I have not.
The Republicans are trying to protect rich tax cheats.
Oh, so they're putting rich tax cheats ahead of Israel. That's the talking point. Well, what would the talking point be for the Republican Party then, inasmuch as the Democrats have no interest in passing this aid package to Israel without an aid package to Ukraine alongside it? So I guess Ukrainian blood is more red than Jewish blood, I guess. It's all being spilled. So the White House and President Biden are saying that they will veto the bill even if it does make it to his desk.
See, and that's the thing that kills me. If it makes it to his desk, it's because enough Democratic senators voted for it to get it over the threshold, and he's going to give the finger to his own party.
Well, and Mike Johnson, the newly sworn-in Speaker of the House, has it right that whatever money we spend in whatever entanglement we want to be a part of around the globe needs to be paid from money we're already spending instead of borrowing it against the future credit of the United States of America, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren. We are $33 trillion in debt. The national debt at $33 trillion is the greatest national security threat that we face above and beyond anything other than possibly the porous and open southern border where terrorists, we are told, are streaming across in increasing numbers. The IRS bill, which is about $67 billion, I guess, according to Johnson, is sitting over there to refurbish, build up, and hire new IRS agents. And you have to look at the scope and importance of our commitments right now. Johnson said at a news conference yesterday, my belief is that this dire situation is Israel is more important. Ukraine funding will come in short order, he said. We'll do that next, adding that it would be paired with border security. The White House and the Democrat National Caucus, that chair, Pete Aguilar, tore into the bill. They're seeking to condition life-saving aid to Israel for the sole purpose of making it easier for billionaires to cheat on their taxes. That is the talking point on the part of the political left. Fact of the matter is, I don't know that they could get this passed through the Democrat-controlled Senate if they don't tie it to Ukraine, indicating to me that the Democrats are all hat and no cattle, as my grandfather used to say, with regard to support for Israel. Senator Bernie Sanders called on Israel to cease its attacks on Gaza. He's Jewish, apparently hates his own people. The disaster in Gaza cannot continue, he said. The world must act to save innocent lives. But just as a humanitarian response is critical, it is equally important to lay out a path to a two-state solution in a democratic Palestine. Israel cannot bomb its way to a long-term solution. Here's the reality there, Bernie. There's only one entity in this conflict that wants a two-state solution. That is Israel. They are emphatic in their statement that they would agree to a two-state solution. All that the Hamas or the leadership of the Palestinian people has to do, whether it's Hamas or the Palestinian Authority, is to lay down their arms and to give up their armaments. But they refuse to do that. And, oh, by the way, it's their stated mission purpose that they do not engage in a two-state solution, that they eliminate one of those two states, and that state being the state of Israel. All right, so that's ongoing, and we're monitoring the situation. I mentioned the op-ed piece that Hunter Biden wrote yesterday, and I want to reflect a little further on that today. Hunter Biden wants to make it about addiction. It's not about addiction. It's about corruption. And there's a great piece in the New York Post, I know, that I want to share with you at some point in the proceedings later on this afternoon. And then, I mentioned the financial aid package for Israel that does not include Ukraine, also defunds part of the IRS. That's good news, and most Republicans recognize it as such. And then yesterday, we discussed Joe Biden's odd little comment that we need a pause. He called it a humanitarian pause. He made this comment at a fundraiser. And what is a humanitarian pause but a ceasefire? Well, the White House is trying to have it both ways. President Joe Biden is saying he's already said that a ceasefire only helps Hamas rearm and refortify. But now he's saying that there needs to be a humanitarian pause so you can get the hostages out. Well, what is a humanitarian pause if not a ceasefire? And don't you have to have both sides of an agreement, or both sides move toward an agreement on a ceasefire? Makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. I don't believe that Democrats offer the support of Israel that some are suggesting. Speaking of Democrats, I heard from our friend Heidi Campbell. So we invited Senator Heidi Campbell, who was seen at a pro-Palestinian rally last weekend in Nashville. We invited her on the show, and she declined, saying that she did not want to add fuel to the misinformation fire or something along those lines. As a matter of fact, I can read you the declination. I invited her on, saying, would love for you to come on and offer a defense. There are some that are suggesting that you were at a pro-Palestinian rally, indicating that you are, quote-unquote, pro-Palestinian, but you were also at a pro-Israeli or We Stand With Israel rally. Heidi Campbell, obviously a state senator from these parts. Heidi wrote back and said, Matt, thanks. I realize this story is getting some traction, but it's not true. I'd rather not fuel this divisiveness. Appreciate the offer. I said, okay, just wanted to give you a chance to speak to it. Talk to you soon. And then this morning, someone transcripted our show. Do we do that? Like, is there a transcription of the show? I don't know if this is a some sort of program or something or another, but I don't know where she's getting this, but this transcription comes from Super Talk 99.7 WTN Nashville, in which I was reading the story accusing Heidi Campbell of quickly leaving the pro-Palestinian rally after being discovered and captured on camera. This was a story from the Tennessee Star with Michael Patrick Leahy. And I was relating that story to the listening audience yesterday in the absence of Heidi Campbell to defend herself. Well, she pointed this story out to me. He's like, hey, what's up? And I was like, well, yeah, I was reading the Tennessee Star article. The specific reason I invited you on the show was to offer you an opportunity to defend yourself. She said to me in a text, and I'll share it with you. I don't think violating her trust at all. I did not leave quickly after being discovered on camera. That's ridiculous. I was invited to a peace rally. I thought I was going to a peace rally. Hamas is an evil terrorist organization. I do not support them at all. I was the only Democrat to speak at the pro-Israel rally, along with Blackburn, Lee, Pody, etc. Campbell went on to say, I left because I did not like what was going on, not because I was being filmed. There were other pro-Israel people there counter-protesting too. So in the interest of fairness, I wanted to share with you what Heidi Campbell said about her appearance at a pro-Palestinian rally, saying that she does not, she's pretty emphatic there. I do not support Hamas. They are, I'll read exactly what it is now.
She's not mincing her words at all.
Hamas is an evil terrorist organization. I do not support them at all. Okay. We'll take her at her word. There you go. It's 1221, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Getting started on this First Amendment Freestyle Friday edition, 615-737-9986. We are just about a week away from, well, I guess it's, a week and a day away from Veterans Day. And we want to spend some time reminding you about the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project and their mission, which is to help reintegrate our veterans and our heroes from service to civilian life. And their job goes on. Sadly, they lost Charlie a few years ago, but the work that Charlie began with David Corlew continues, and they do such great work helping find those organizations that are right for the veterans that are in need and putting those two entities together on a regular basis. I strongly support the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project, and I do hope you do as well. And I support, obviously, our veterans. We should do it every day, but obviously once a year on Veterans Day, we remind ourselves of those that sacrifice everything to help us remain free and a home of liberty and a bastion of hope to those around the world. We thank those veterans, and we thank the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project. If you are so inclined, please make a donation today. Go to the CharlieDanielsJourneyHomeProject.org. That's the CharlieDanielsJourneyHomeProject.org, and give as you can. And if you have the ability, prior to and especially on Veterans Day, salute a veteran in the land of the free and the home of the brave. The CharlieDanielsJourneyHomeProject.org. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you. Would love to hear your thoughts on daylight saving time. By the way, Bell, not to belabor this point, it's daylight saving time. It's not daylight savings time. And you said it was daylight savings time. And I'm not here to correct. Well, I actually am. I'm here to correct you.
We outvoted you. It's daylight savings time. We're officially a democracy. You've lost.
I mean, and who's we? You got a mouse?
All of the listeners.
You got a mouse?
All of the listeners. All of them.
them.
All of the listeners are on my side. All of them.
Well, that's what you say.
Everybody I know agrees with me. Everybody I know.
You're the only one in the room.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Anyway, we'll talk more about that. We'll also get into it with Jay St. Clair, our legal expert, coming up at 1:05 this afternoon. We'll talk about the latest in New York City with the Donald Trump case. That's ongoing. And your legal questions, get those in on the super text line, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Jack Johnson's coming up in the 2 o'clock hour to talk with us about the B&A airport. I asked a rather generic question because I drive by it every day. I don't understand. I understand there's construction going on at the airport, and that's a good thing. They've built another concourse, it's my understanding. They're building a hotel. They've built another parking garage. I don't know. I've flown out of the airport on a number of occasions, but when you do, you're kind of laser focused on, your airline, your gate, and where you're going. So I've not taken a broader view of where we are on airport construction. I know that there's that interchange that's being built at the airport as well. All I know is this. On Thursday, Friday, and Saturday afternoons, if I'm driving that way from Mount Juliet, where the wife and I live, into Nashville, it is a mess. It is an absolute mess, to the point that I've seen people, and you've probably seen, if not in person, the videos of people who, their loved ones are dropping them off at the airport, or their friends are dropping them off at the airport. They can't get into the departure lane. And so these folks are literally getting out of cars on the interstate and walking their bags up the exit ramp to get to the airport. And to me, I'm like, is this just what we have to live with for the next several years while construction is going on? Or is there an action plan to fix that? Because the backup sometimes goes, all the way to 24 and 40. That far on that side of the highway, on the, I guess that's the eastbound side. So we'll speak with Jack Johnson about that. Obviously, he's Senate Majority Leader, but he's also on the B&A board. And there was a recent ruling against the General Assembly with regard to how they construct that board. So we'll do that as well. That's upcoming. I was about to go to break, and then I looked up, and Bell K's gone. I don't know where he went. 615-737-9986. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take a telephone call while Bell's not there. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well, and yourself?
I'm well. What's your name?
My name's Deb.
Hey, Deb, I'm just doing this kind of on the fly because my producer left.
That works. Real quick, I prefer daylight saving time, but I don't. At the end of the day, I don't care. Just pick one and stick with it. This flip-flopping is crazy.
I vote we split.
That's not the reason
Well, I vote we split I vote we split the difference, right? This would be the time to do that. Instead of falling back for a full hour, just fall back for a half hour and leave it there. Yeah? Did you just hang up on Deb? I think you did.
I was screening Adam's call.
Can we start over? Well, I was going to a break, but you were gone, so I didn't know where you were. So I just went to a phone call. You okay in there?
I had to go to the potty.
You don't have to share it all with us. Right now, Matt's thinking, I got lunch. I got other things to do. Matt Grici's coming up with us. He's with the Nashville Super Speedway to talk about the season that was, the award ceremony that will be, and that's on the way next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. Let's talk about your food game at your house for just a moment. Savory Spice can help up that food game with some delicious spices and delicious recipes. They've got it all for every expertise and every level of cooking in the kitchen. We talk about that all the time, right? You can find them at L&L Market in Nashville, right there on Charlotte Pike. You can also find them right off the square in Franklin. Savory Spice ups your food game by upping your spice game, and you'll smell the difference before you see it, and then you'll see the difference, right? So if you're an expert in the kitchen and you understand the different types of spice combinations that it takes to make a delicious recipe, then they're the place for you because they've got all of those singular spices in bulk, and they jar them right there in front of you as you shop at Savory Spice. But if you don't really know what you're doing in the kitchen, they got you covered as well because they have different blends and recipes right on the bag, and all the spices are pre-done for you, so you don't have to worry about it. You just add your protein, you add some veggies, whatever the dish might be, and then you add the spice combination, and boom, bam, boom, you've got a delicious meal for you and your family. How about that? Savory Spice. Up the food game by upping the spice game. You up the spice game at Savory Spice. 2 locations, once again, in Franklin and, of course, L&L Market in Nashville. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice. It is First Amendment Freestyle Friday on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, although I would tell you it's a pretty packed show. Friday Mac Attack at 2:35 this afternoon. Let's walk it back. Then Jack Johnson, Senate Majority Leader and also board member with BNA at 2:05. Our good friend and legal expert, my life consultant, J. St. Clair at 1:05. And right now, Matt Grieche joins us. And I think I said his name right. He is with Nashville Super Speedway. We want to talk about the season that is coming to a culmination this weekend. Phoenix, I believe it is. Do you like – hello, Matt. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Nice to see you. Before I get too far into the weeds, do you like it ending in Phoenix, or did you like Miami better? I mean, just as a race fan.
As a race fan, I think the Homestead track kind of presented a little bit different challenges than Phoenix does. But, the investment that was put into Phoenix Raceway.
I'm told to do this. There we go.
There we go. The investment that was put into Phoenix Raceway probably garnered merited it to happen there. And we'll see, how long it goes there. But, a lot of good races coming up this weekend, starting tonight with the Truck Series Championship.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention there are other races going on outside of the Premier Series, but obviously we focus a little bit on the Premier Series. How was the season this year for Nashville Super Speedway? Do you guys, are you happy with the results of, the reaction that the crowd gave you post-event? I know you do a lot of decompression and you get a lot of response and commentary afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a great year. The team leaned in and had a really solid year, sell out for our Ally 400 this past year. And the feedback, yes, we dive deep into it and figure out, where we can improve our fan base and experience in there. A lot of good feedback, always room for improvement. That's what we're looking forward to in 2024. But look forward to the championship weekend this year.
Speedway Motorsports, how many tracks do you guys have?
We have 11 venues.
And obviously you're part of the organizational structure that wants to develop Nashville Fairgrounds.
We are. Yep. We want to. I think as a company and as the industry, Nashville's an important market, and the history that the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway provides is something one of a kind and unique, and feel like it garners what should be invested into it, and look forward to that endeavor, trying to move forward.
What is, I mean, and I know we're here to talk about the culmination of the season and all of that, but curiosity gets the better of me. Where are we according to you guys? I mean, I know that you guys understood with the city council races going on, with the mayor's race going on, that it might be in the best interest of everybody to kind of just, let's pause everything for just a sec, let everybody get settled in, and then reinvigorate the effort, I guess, early next year? Is that the plan, or is it sooner than that?
I think that's the plan. Jerry Caldwell, our general manager over at Bristol Motor Speedway, continues to lead that fight on behalf of Marcus Smith, our CEO of Speedway Motorsports. Yeah, I think we took a respectful back seat to the new mayor coming in, the council members, but we're eager to get back to the table, negotiate it in, and hopefully we can make some positive headway. And
for those maybe that haven't been as familiar with the plan would be to continue seeing local racing at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, to invest. I mean, Bristol is ready to invest a tremendous amount of money into reinvigorating and kind of rejuvenating the life of the Fairgrounds Speedway, and then bring some big-time caliber racing to the fairgrounds.
Yeah, we would aim to bring a NASCAR Cup Series race to the Fairgrounds Speedway, and we want that venue to be something that the community can be proud of. You know, it sits there in between a lot of new construction, new builds. There's some issues with it. It's deteriorated beyond repair at this point, and it requires some funds to get it back up to the standards that it needs to.
And so the time frame would be 2027? Is that about right? If everything kind of came together in just the right way?
Timing's pretty fluid, but we would aim earlier than that would be our hope. But still some hurdles to get through. And
it's important to note for NASCAR fans in the area that the Fairgrounds Super Speedway, the Super Speedway and the Fairgrounds, I mean, it's not like the Fairgrounds would replace a Super Speedway race, right? It would be in addition to. Is that my understanding?
That is the understanding, yes. That's how important we think the Nashville market is, that it can sustain and support two major venues in the motorsports realm. They're different, as far as what can be hosted at the Fairgrounds and what can be hosted at the Super Speedway. From a non-racing standpoint, they're different and can complement each other within this market.
I should know this. Is Super Speedway a mile and a third?
Mile and a third, all concrete surface. Okay.
And it is just, it's a completely different style. And if you've ever been to one and been to the other, you obviously get it. I think the Fairgrounds is a 5/8 track, so it's just a completely different type of venue. And it's just so old school and cool, and the history behind the Fairgrounds is it's really cool. Tell us what's happening as we get to the culmination of the season. I mean, right here in Nashville, we have our awards ceremony happening, later on this month?
Yep. All three series champions that will be crowned this weekend will come into the championship award ceremonies at the end of the month on November 30th here in Nashville, and you'll see the industry taking over the city.
So you and Alan, Matt, came to invite me in person. That's so sweet of you to stop by the station to invite me to the awards dinner, knowing that I'm the NASCAR guy in Nashville now. I'm the guy on the radio that loves the sport. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Very
you
kind.
deserve to be there.
Is it open to the public?
It is not, but there are, the actual award ceremony is not open to the public. There is going to be some fan-facing elements to it. Location on 5th and Broadway. We'll have driver appearances, a stage with Q&As, interactive items down there. And then on Wednesday afternoon, the 29th, there's going to be a parade that'll take place downtown, go down Broadway. So drivers, crews, trophies.
So a lot of great interaction.
You'll see it going down Broadway. Our Nashville Super Speedway Ford Mustang pace car is going to lead that parade.
Nice.
So we're looking forward to bringing that to culmination.
No, that's pretty cool. At the Music City Center. And that's you said midweek? So that's going to be a Wednesday for the parade?
The parade is Wednesday, and the championship celebration is that Thursday evening.
Well, and we got to have a burnout at some point, right? I mean, you got to.
That's what why we're bringing the pace car.
I mean, come on. Well,
Ford Mustang. Yeah.
who's doing the burnout? You, Matt?
You might be.
No, not me. I wouldn't even know where to begin. Alan? Can Alan do it?
Alan's up. Yeah, he can do it.
Yeah, I have faith in you. Do you feel good about the trajectory? I mean, you might be the exact right person to ask. I feel so good about the way that NASCAR has decided to try to structure the season and get a wide variety. I think, without knowing, and you probably do because you're in these discussions with Jerry or Marcus or whomever, it felt too homogenized for a number of years. A lot of 1.5 milers. But the diversity of tracks, I think NASCAR is doing everything. Market forces are what they are, But I think NASCAR is really doing everything they can to diversify the sport in a way that's going to attract maximum eyeballs.
Yeah, thinking outside the box a little bit. We've got street courses. We've got more road courses than ever. Bristol hosted dirt racing for 3 years in a row. We brought North Wilkesboro back online this year and hosted the NASCAR All-Star Race. It's thinking of those new venues that might actually be old venues and bringing them back to life, which is why we're so interested in the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway as well, and lean into that history and bring folks that used to be avid fans back into the fold, because that's what they remember.
What was the internal reaction to the Chicago race? I mean, what did it excite you guys?
It was exciting. I mean, you see NASCAR stock cars running down the streets of Chicago. Unfortunately, they were hampered by weather that weekend, which I think hurt the overall experience. But they're going back in 24. I think they learned a lot. I think the racers learned a lot. I think they're going to put on a great show in 2024. And
I know.
I mean, I don't want to just start throwing things on the table to discuss, but I get that the focus is on the fairgrounds and the history of the fairgrounds, and anybody that's been around Nashville or that understands NASCAR history understands the importance of what the Fairgrounds Speedway can mean to the sport. And I get the focus. But I have to admit, I'm watching Chicago on television, and then I go watch IndyCar in person. I'm thinking, man, those NASCAR would look really good rolling down Broadway at some point down the road.
It would look cool. Obviously, we have some great opportunities here with some venues that we've got. Nashville Super Speedway putting on great races. I think next year is going to be our fourth annual with our Ally 400. We're looking forward to another sellout. We launched our public ticket sales this week, so hopefully we can pack the house again.
I love it. It is the perfect venue in terms of get in, get out. Because I've been to a lot of these, right? I've been to Talladega, I've been to Atlanta, I've been to a lot of different venues in the NASCAR circuit, and Lebanon is about the easiest to get in, get out you're going to find, because you got a lot of ample parking, you got a lot of opportunity for people to get there early, to enjoy the amenities early, and then obviously the fantastic racing on the concrete surface is pretty cool as well. How can people find tickets?
NashvilleSuperspeedway.com. Ticket sales are on right now. Come visit us, see what options we got. We got a lot of premium camping open for availability. We'd love to host anybody.
Okay, so let's get down to it before we have to say goodbye, Matt. Who's winning? Come on.
I'll answer if you're going to answer as well.
I'll answer.
Okay.
I've got my guy. Denny. Well, by the way, I have a long-standing fake feud with Denny Hamlin. Do you know the story?
No. I
got cussed out by Denny Hamlin's gas guy.
Really?
Okay, so this happened. This is a true story. So Grant Lynch, who was a longtime president of Talladega Super Speedway, was a friend of mine when I was in Birmingham. And Grant would always he was very kind to me in terms of helping me get to the track and have different types of experiences. And I bugged him forever for hot passes. And he goes, Murph, I've told you 1,000 times we don't do hot passes anymore. We're getting away from hot passes. Somebody gets hit in the head with a lug nut and we get sued, yada, yada, yada. You know how it goes. Yeah, I mean, I guarantee you know how it goes.
Yep, that's accurate.
Yeah, so I finally convinced him to let me have hot passes. I'll probably still be on my best behavior. And for those that don't know, cold passes give you an opportunity to get into the garage, to go on the pits before the race starts, to really experience that side of things. And there's a lot of fan opportunity for the garage area prior to the race. Fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
And then you kind of get to your seats, and as the race starts, you have to have what is called a hot pass. And typically, you just have to have a reason to be there. But you have to know the rules of the road. And the rules are, you stand behind this color line and you don't get in the way. And, I mean, I'm telling you, it's like you're on the sidelines during a football game. And so I was there, and I was minding my business, and I was behind the yellow line, and pit stops were happening, and Denny Hamlin's gas man, I don't know, I don't know, they sped in the pits or something. I don't know what happened to them. He was grumpy, and he told me to get the bleep out of the way. And I was like, oh, great. Now I hate Denny Hamlin. And I have ever since. That was 20 years ago.
20 years ago. That's impressive. That's a long,
almost 15, something like that.
That's a long grudge.
That's a big, I mean, and what I love about this grudge is that Denny has no idea what's going on. But,
Well, he's not in the championship four, so I know he's not.
I know.
He wouldn't have been your pick anyways.
No.
My pick, I think he's had the most consistent year, both on track and on pit road with his pit crew.
I know where you're going.
William Byron in the 24.
I knew you were going to go 24.
I would not be surprised if it comes down to the last pit stop. Who doesn't make a mistake comes out there first.
You don't think the best wheel man in racing right now is going to win it?
Kyle Larson?
Yes, Kyle Larson.
I just think the 24 has had the most consistent season.
I would agree with that. I mean, they both, and you feel like out of the Hendricks, out of that stable, it's going to be one of those two. I just have to feel Blaney. I don't even know who the fourth guy. Wait, is Blaney's the third?
Blaney and Bell. Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney.
Chris Bell. He's such a dry personality, but such a good race car driver.
Very good. He's really good. I mean, I those are four really good drivers. Blaney's probably had the best playoffs, which was surprising.
Yeah. And Blaney's kind of the wild card of the bunch too, both on and off the track to a certain degree.
Those are the ones you got to be worried about.
Yeah, well, I'm going with the number 5, and we'll see. We'll see. All Phoenix, right. Arizona, this weekend, this Sunday, plus truck race. Was that tonight?
Truck race tonight, Xfinity Series tomorrow, and then Cup Series on Sunday. And then also, if anybody's in town and local, 39th run in the All-American 400 at Nashville Fairground Speedway is this weekend. So come see some local racing as well.
Love that. Absolutely love it. One more time on the Ally 400, how can we get tickets? You said they're on sale now?
They are. All weekend passes, tickets, camping, premium spaces, NashvilleSuperspeedway.com.
And it's Matt at murphyshow.com to send over the electronic tickets for the award ceremony and everything.
And your hot passes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, we'll talk about hot passes later.
All right.
Matt, thank you for everything. In all sincerity, I joke, but we appreciate what you guys do for the community. You know how much I love the racing. I hope everybody enjoys the racing. But even if you're not that into auto racing, go out and see the fan experience. You will love it. Absolutely love the hospitality out there.
We appreciate the time today. Thanks a lot.
Matt Gricci, thank you so much. Thank you, Alan. We appreciate you. It's 1250 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's 12:57. Thanks again to Matt Grieche for joining us from the Nashville Super Speedway. He knows what a big fan I am of NASCAR, the season coming to a culmination. And I would be remiss if I did not remind you, Matt mentioned it, that there's an event going on at the Fairgrounds Speedway as well this weekend. I think it's the All-American 400, if I'm not mistaken. 615-737-9986 is our telephone number if you'd like to be involved in the show. If you would like to embarrass yourself and agree with Bell K, you may do so regarding daylight saving time.
What?
Well, I don't mean to. I mean, you said that there were several people on the super text line that were erroneously agreeing.
I didn't say erroneously. I said they agree with me, and they're right.
That it's daylight
savings time.
Uh-huh. How does that work?
2 S's.
How does that work grammatically?
Quite well, actually.
No, it doesn't. It's almost time for calls.
I could care less. Get back to me on Valentine's Day after you've thought about it some.
You almost had me until you said I could care less. And I know you're smarter than that. And then you said on Valentine's Day, those folks wear me out. You know what wears me out? We could do an entire show on the grammatical pet peeves. And I know that I'm guilty of some of it. I'm guilty of missteps. I could care less is one of them. That means you care. If you could care less, that means you care. If you could not care less, that means you don't care at all. So it's I couldn't care less, and it is not Valentine's. It's Valentine's Day.
You're wrong. You're wrong about all of it.
And you know what? The one that gets me the most is people calling Alzheimer's all-timers.
Old-timers.
Or old-timers. Or daylight saving time. Daylight savings time. It is a singular saving. We are saving daylight. We are not savings daylight. I love you all. 1 down, 2 to go. Jay St. Clair, my legal expert, who will sue you if you keep saying it wrong, is coming up next. Defend Systems wants you to know that they are here for you if you are a decision maker with regard to a school or a church or a place of business. Let's discuss. And I've got some new news coming from Brink Fiddler and Defend Systems regarding their event that's happening next Friday. We've mentioned this to you on a couple of occasions, and we'll talk more at length about it. But Defend Systems now, if you go online, they are offering the event next Friday, that course for free to teachers. They have had a donor step up, and that donor has provided the opportunity for you, if you are a teacher in the Davidson County region or in Middle Tennessee, to step up to the plate and to attend at Assurian, at the corporate headquarters of Assurian, the event that's happening next Friday. You can find more about this at defendsystems.com. That's defendsystems.com. Just wanted to spread the word that now, for teachers, the event happening on a workday session during the Metro Nashville School week next Friday, the session from Defend Systems will be absolutely free to teachers. Lunch will be provided. Go to defendsystems.com. That's defendsystems.com to find out more. Very excited about this opportunity for all of you teachers in the area to get that level of training that is so important to understand what to do in the unforeseeable event that you have violence in your presence at your school. Go to defendsystems.com. Once again, that's defendsystems.com for more information. Hello and welcome. It is 1:06. We'll get to Jay St. Clair and Fry Jay coming up in just moments on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's our episode 448 of the proceedings today, and we're pleased you've decided to join us. Your time is valuable, and you spend some of it with us, and we thank you for that. There's only one of us that's paid to be here, and the only way I get paid to be here is if you're here. And so I thank you for that. Stay around until 3 o'clock and beyond. The Drive with Brian Wilson happens at that time. It's information-fueled and opinion-driven news talk radio for the masses on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. On this 106 on Friday, I'm just trying to help you out. I'm just wondering, hey, Belle.
Hey, Matthew.
How's it going?
It's good.
Oh,
It's the bestest day ever.
You're laser focused, aren't you?
I am.
Hey, where's Jay?
Jay
St. Clair.
Oh, you know what? I was talking to the host during the break instead of making a phone call. Let me do that.
You're throwing me under the bus for throwing you under the bus. I threw you under the bus, and you threw me under the bus with you. We're both under the bus. Jay St. Clair will be. That was it was a subtle way for me to say, hey, Belle, we need to get Jay on the phone. And then Belle blamed me. All righty then. If you have any questions or thoughts for our legal expert, Jay St. Clair, now's a good time to put them in. Go ahead and go over to the Super Text line, 615-737-9986, 737-WWTN. Ask any legal question at all, really any question at all. You ask Jay, and he will answer. It's his commitment to you. He likes to tell you that he's often wrong but never in doubt. He said that for years to me as well. Coming up in the 2 o'clock hour, Jack Johnson, Senate Majority Leader, will be here at 2 o'clock, and Friday Mac Attack at 2:35. Are you on board with what we're drafting today, I guess?
Yeah. But we need to get some parameters around it, though.
I agree with you that we need to scripted.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to get into reality programming and
or like, color commentary shows and.
Well, yeah, I mean, not Monday Night Football. Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Mac would try to draft that.
Sure. We have our draft every Friday on Friday Mac Attack, and we now know what the draft subject will be. And today's draft subject will be scripted television shows. And I know
we still need to go a little farther and say, can it be, old shows too, or does it have to be stuff that's on the air now? Because I'm a little less up to date on the new stuff.
Well, me too, but variety is the spice of life, right? I mean, you and I will probably battle it out for Jay St. Clair's favorite television show during this draft.
Yeah, whoever gets to go first is going to end up, without a doubt.
I don't know, though. I think I would pick one other over that one. I don't want to say too much. Because I'm going to be drafting against you. But every week we do a Friday Mac Attack draft, and the subject of this week's draft will be scripted TV. I know exactly where our next guest would go with his number one pick in that draft. I'll let him tell you once we introduce him. Hello, it's Friday. Your opportunity to speak to a legal expert. His name is Jay St. Clair. He's a Tennessee man through and through. Went to Yale. I said he went to Yale. And he is my life consultant. His name is Jay St. Clair, and he joins us on the line this afternoon. I like to ask him this question first and foremost. Jay, how you doing? How you doing?
If I were any better, I would be Ryan Blaney.
He kind of slipped in there, didn't he?
Won it on the last throw at the dice table.
Pretty nice.
It's going to be great. It's going to be good. And Dale Jr., I think, is picking him to win.
Well, he's a wild card selection. I mean, I couldn't go against Kyle Larson. I just think he's the best wheelman in the bunch, and I know you believe that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although Matt Grieche with Nashville Super Speedway was just in last hour talking about the culmination of the season and the big award ceremony happening in Nashville, and he put his money on the 24 car. So there's when you get down to the last four, you're dealing with the best of the best, right?
No, I'd say absolutely. It's a great group. So youngest group I think ever, at least since the championship four. And no, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. A lot more interesting than college football, man.
I don't know that I would agree with that, Jay, but that's what makes life spicy. Disagreement in opinions about what is the best television watching over the weekend. So, Jay, speaking of television, I don't know if you know this, but we've started this segment on Fridays we call Friday Mac Attack with Mac Morey and Belkay.
Because last week we were talking about cars, and I heard what all y'all said. And, of course, I would draft first tags. I would definitely draft tags, Tags first.
You know what tags is, Bell? You don't know what tags is?
No clue.
Well, I think you just disqualified yourself from drafting them then, if you don't know what tags is.
The Andy Griffith Show.
He got it, Jay. It took him a minute. He figured it out.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say
I have
too
enough
much.
respect for the television show. I don't abbreviate the name. I say it out.
Oh, okay. That's it. What was it us, Jay, that we were talking years ago, and you brought up the fact that the only guy married on that show stays drunk all the time?
Yes.
Otis.
And I said it was the first show with a single dad.
That's true.
And I was immediately proven wrong. There's a whole genre of scripted television shows with single dads. Fascinating. But that's right. The only married guy is the town drunk.
Otis the drunk.
You know what's kind of ironic is the very first episode is Andy Taylor's old housekeeper before Aunt B getting married and leaving. So she got married and they kicked her out of town.
That's right.
You know, the little town I grew up in, Matt, Dunlap. You've been to Dunlap.
I have.
It wasn't big enough to have a town drunk. So we all had to take turns.
Hey, y'all watch out. Stay off the roads. It's Jay's Friday. It's Jay's weekend. Jay, I feel compelled, and I invite people to give us our legal questions on the super text line, 615-737-9986. I know how much you love it. But I'm compelled to ask you to update us on what's going on with Trump's trial. I guess the New York City one is the one that we're focused on right now.
Yeah, this is the trial. You know, the Attorney General up there her campaign platform was, I'm going to hang Trump. We're going to give him a fair trial followed by a first-class hanging.
Sure.
That was her campaign slogan. And she couldn't charge him with a crime, so she charged him in this screwball civil case of basically fraud, of overstating his net worth when he applied for loans, and therefore he saved a lot of money on interest on his loans. And so they're trying to get some money out of him. Well, as you know, one of the things you've got to prove if you're going to file a lawsuit are your damages. Well, what actually have you lost? And I was real curious to see here what they would come up with, man. So here's what they're saying. Trump lied to the banks when he said he was worth $4 billion.
Uh-huh.
In fact, he's only worth $2.5 billion. So, I mean, that right there is funny enough, right?
I mean, yeah, on its
He's
face.
really only worth $2.5 billion.
Not
So
$4 billion
therefore-
like he was claiming.
That's right. It's only $2.5 billion. So the banks would not have loaned him money. The interest rates were, you don't care too much about the detail. 1.9035% was one of them. You know, the other one's 2.8. Well, let's call it 3%. They loaned him money at 3%. So they put on this expert witness this week, that. And this guy says, well, if the banks had known Trump was only worth $2.5 billion, they wouldn't have loaned him money at 3%. They would have demanded 10%.
What?
Yeah, yes.
What?
From a multi-billionaire. That's the quality of this case. Man.
Wait, that is the argument that well, I mean, do we have anyone from the banks corroborating this evidence?
Exactly. You're such a good lawyer. You're just so good, because I will be very interested to see when it comes to Trump's turn to put on his case if he calls the president of Chase Manhattan Bank and said, well, sir, do you have any customers worth $2.5 billion? Yes. What interest rate do you charge them? 3%.
I mean,
It's crazy, man. It is absolutely crazy.
you don't do a lot of predictions. You try not to, because I know it's difficult to suggest what a jury's going to do. Certainly, you've taught me that over the years. Don't suppose. I mean, you try to figure it out, and I know in a court of law, you do your best to try to figure out where the jury is on these things. Is this being decided by the judge, though, right?
Yes, this judge is without a jury, and he hates Trump, and he loves himself. So there's no question. This is a clean kill, man. And you will only hear that from a lawyer this is the second time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I predict there is 100% chance this judge is going to rule against Trump. And I predict that he's going to enter damages. Well, this guy calculated the whole amount at $168 million. And maybe they'll offer some more damages. But, yeah, I think this judge is going to enter a verdict for the state against Trump, and I think it'll be for around $170 million. And then I think there's 100% chance that will get appealed. And then there, my crystal ball gets cloudy. I just don't see a $170 million verdict. Some verdict might stand. I don't think they will make him shut his businesses down. I don't think they'll kick him out of that. They're just going to get their hand in his pocketbook.
You've explained this to me in the past, but go over it again for those in the back of the room. What exactly is the state's involvement in this? Because this was an agreed-to contract between two willing participants, Trump and the banks.
Yeah.
So why is the state involved in this to begin with?
That would take me a long time to explain that. It really would.
It has, I mean, on its face, it doesn't seem like there should be any involvement. I am certain that there's some convoluted laws in the state of New York that provide for remedy or relief if they feel like there's some sort of collusion or something or another going on, that sort of thing.
Right. No, that's right. I mean, the law they're traveling under is very odd. Is the statute that just creates the office of the Attorney General, man, and it just lists all the powers that the Attorney General has. And one of the powers is whenever somebody engages in repeated fraudulent or illegal acts, then the Attorney General can sue them and shut down their business, in effect. put out of business companies that are, these payday loan companies and people like that, that are really abusing people. And the people who are getting hurt don't really have the wherewithal to fight back. I think that's what it was intended, and really organized crime. Certainly wasn't meant for this. And I mean, they're putting a square peg in a round hole, but it ain't the only place they're doing that with Trump.
But they'll get, I mean, if you shift it back to the arena that I live and breathe in, outside of the courtroom and in the world of politics, I mean, they're going to accomplish what they want. In other words, they'll get a guilty verdict by this judge. They'll get to splash those headlines up, regardless of where it goes from there.
No, that's exactly right. And that will come before the next November election, and the appellate decision probably won't. It'll still be on appeal. And yes, they can run headlines that says Trump convicted. That's the way they'll say it. Convicted of fraud, although he's not convicted. This isn't a criminal case. But they can run the headlines that Trump convicted of fraud. You have the wisdom of Solomon.
One of our super texters, 3267, asks a good question. So let's say, there are damages awarded. Who gets the damages?
I've been chasing that rabbit. It's not entirely clear. I don't think the state gets to keep it. You have to, the way the section law reads, is that money shall be subject to subdivision 11 of section 4 of the state finance law. Well, you didn't pay me to go research the state finance law.
I did not.
I just stopped right here with this one. But I think what they have to do is give it to the people that they claim were damaged. So they're going to go to Chase Bank, which has made hundreds of millions of dollars off Donald Trump, and say, hey, guys, here's another $25 million.
Well, I've got a lot of questions unrelated to the Trump case that I want to get into with Jay St. Clair. We'll do that in just a moment. It is our Friday presentation, your opportunity to ask any legal question, and the answers are worth exactly what you pay for the questions. Jay knows that well. 121, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll get into some of your questions next. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief is located in Franklin, and anywhere within the sound of my voice, make the drive that so many others have made to the Dr. Gill Center. Over 30 years ago, Dr. Gill started his practice with one premise in mind. He wanted you to have an opportunity to live a pain-free life without needing pills on a regular basis, without having to take shots to numb the pain, and certainly without the consideration for surgery. He's doing all of those things and has been for a long time now. And now he has a team. Dr. Wendy, Dr. Dominic, Dr. V, the rest of the team, over 100 years combined experience with red light therapy, spinal decompression, their Class 5 laser systems, and so much more, to include the incredible and excellent chiropractic care that they've been offering for over 3 decades. Friends, call today. Say pain relief. You get a special discount on your initial consultation. 615-882-4838. 882-4838. For the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief in Franklin. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you. It's 126. Good afternoon. Welcome in. Jay St. Clair is with us. It is Friday after all. A lot of your legal questions already up and running on the Super text line, 615-737-9986. Some of them related to the conversation we were having about the civil trial ongoing in New York City. I believe Eric Trump has just wrapped up testimony in the New York civil trial. Which would indicate to me that the trial, well, I don't know if it's winding down or not. Jay, do you know, before we get to some of these questions, do you know where we are at this stage of the proceedings, what the expectation is on the length of the trial from here on out?
Well, I can tell you what's going to happen Monday morning at 9 o'clock.
What's that?
El Trumpo will take the stand. Not El Trumpo. Oh, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, but it's probably going to be a little crazy. So Dave wants to know, if Trump is found guilty, will the bank be charged also?
Well, again, it's not a crime. They're not charging anybody with a crime. It's this very odd civil procedure that exists. I mean, they're in effect suing.
Right, and that's what that is what is annoyingly confusing. That because the state is suing, but they're not suing on behalf of the bank, right?
Well, they are effectively. I mean, at the end of the day, they are. Like I say, this law was passed back in the 1950s. It was basically to get gangsters that would take advantage of poor people, man, who couldn't afford to sue on their own.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Chase Manhattan Bank can probably afford a lawyer. In fact, I think we represent them.
That means they can afford an expensive lawyer.
But again, they're not saying the banks did anything wrong. What they're saying is Trump went in and said, "Sir, I'd like to take out a loan. All right, how much are you worth? $4 billion. Oh, well, very good. We'll give you a loan for 3%.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying that the whole thing was fraudulent, man. If he had gone there and said, "Sir, I want to take a loan. All right, how much you worth? $2.5 billion. Oh, well, my word, we can't trust that. We're going to have to charge you 10%.
That makes me giggle.
And it's just great. And then, so the judge is going to have ordering, okay, well, you got to pay the state the difference in 3% and 10%. That's $168 million. And then I suppose we ought to give some of this to the bank. We'll have to figure that out later.
But I think the overall goal is embedded in 4540's comment, because 4540 says, yeah, guys, but a guilty verdict keeps him out of the White House, right? Isn't that the goal? Money doesn't matter to Trump. That's the real punishment. So I think the perception embedded in that comment is the entire point, because they want the perception that he's, quote, guilty of something, and that would somehow prevent him from being president of the United States.
That caller hit the bull's eye. If Donald Trump were to come out Monday morning and say, okay, look, I've had it. This is it. I am quitting my run for president. All of these legal things would be dropped. It's all about keeping him out of the White House.
Yep.
There's no question about it.
All right, Jay, let's ask you a few of these questions. We'll get to a couple of telephone calls here right after the bottom of the hour break, but this one comes in. I am being, out of Kentucky, 7716 writes, I'm being sued by a contractor that didn't finish. We had to hire another contractor to finish. We never signed a contract, only had a verbal for, quote, around 15. I'm assuming that's 15,000. Right. At their request, we agreed to give 10,000 until the project was complete. They never came for the money or told us where to send it. We were served, and they said they want a jury trial. And they now say that we owe $21,000, and they want interest. There's more to the story, and we're confident in our case. Can they sue for attorney fees and interest, and can we countersue for our attorney's cost? After we were originally served, we sent the check for $14,000 minus the cost of the contractor, and they sent our money back. Does that all make sense to you, Jay?
It does make sense. I think I heard you say there was no written contract.
That's what, a verbal for around 15,000.
Yeah, and so normally you have to pay your own attorney's fees. So I do not believe they can recover attorney's fees in this case. If there was a contract that said if you don't pay, we have to sue you, you got to pay fees, then yeah, you'd have to. Now, there are some peculiar little state laws that if somebody breaks it, they have to pay attorney's fees. That might be present here, Mr. Caller, but I don't think so. But if you're going to countersue them, then I'd also claim for your attorney's fees too. But I just don't think attorney's fees are going to be part of this equation. That has to be done by agreement ahead of time.
Excellent
And
answer.
get a lawyer. This is complicated enough, sir, that you need to get a lawyer for this.
Very good. Hope that answered your question, 7716. We will get back to more questions with Jay St. Clair coming up in just a moment. It's 1:31. To include this one, how can the state of Colorado take a case about keeping Trump off the ballot of a federal election? What authority does the state have to interfere with the federal election? Jay will answer that question in a moment. Also, this question: when is Jay going to take one for the team and convince Pamela Furr to become a Vols fan? That question from 2213. These questions and more answered next on Super Talk. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's 1:36 as we continue with Fry J. Jay St. Clair, our legal expert. He's a Tennessee man. He's my best friend and life consultant. And he joins us to answer your legal questions. And he's on the line right now. So how can the state of Colorado take up a case about keeping – have you been following this, Jay? If not, I might be barking up the wrong tree, but –
No, I know all about it, and it's a great question. It's off the legal map, Matt. I mean, this is a field that has never been plowed before.
Mm-hmm.
For those that don't know what we're talking about, there's a provision in the 14th Amendment of the Constitution that was passed right after the Civil War that basically said if you fought for the South in the Civil War, then you can't be a congressman or a senator or hold any office in the federal government. And that was a mistake to do that, man. And like 25 years later, that Congress passed a law that granted amnesty for everybody. But that's what it's about. But the way it reads is that if you ever engaged in insurrection, one of the offices that's not mentioned is president.
All right, wait. You cut out briefly for a second. You said if you are engaged in insurrection, against the federal government, then you're not eligible.
That's right. You're not eligible to hold certain federal offices. You can't be a senator or you can't be a congressperson. But it doesn't list president as one of the positions you can't hold, man. So there's a lot of problems with this argument. And to answer the caller's question, the state will not have the final say-so in this. Colorado, if they want to, they can decide a case that says, well, Trump was an insurrectionist, therefore we're not going to allow him to be on the presidential ballot in Colorado. That case will be appealed to the United States Supreme Court. In my view, they will take that case because it's a question of constitutional law. They're not going to let Colorado be the final say on this meaning of this constitutional provision. The Supreme Court is the final arbiter of what the Constitution says.
And I don't want to ask for 2 clean kills in one day, but if I were a betting man, I would put my money on the Supreme Court determining that this did not constitute a quote-unquote insurrection against the United States of America. That would be my bet.
Yep, no, I agree. And, that's a lot better bet than the hard 10.
Well,
Hey, Bell, quit betting on them hard ways.
Don't bet on the hard ways, Bell. Just write that down, fold it up, put it in your wallet.
Look, since you guys brought it up.
You hadn't had nearly enough Tito's and cranberry juice.
That's true.
Betting on hard ways.
Jay, do you condone his constant use of code talk when it comes to you?
Code talk?
Yeah, code talk.
What do you mean code talk?
Your life, what do you call him? Your life consultant?
He's my life consultant.
That is a really odd way to say gambling buddy.
You know, Bell, you have the wisdom of Solomon.
Oh, don't.
In polite society, we don't say gambling buddy.
No, we don't say gambling buddy. We say investment seminar partner.
And
then I buy it and go, I don't think Paul Winkler's going to like that.
And
Jay, and when we survey real estate, Bill, you know what we're really doing?
Golfing.
Yes, playing golf.
I don't know if I told you this.
Sumptuous. Listen, we lead a very sumptuous life.
Well,
when we go out to West Tennessee,
I'm gonna have to look up sumptuous to see what that means, but I guess I'll agree with that. Bell's just smarting, Jay. I haven't told you this because he fell into the trap when I told him that you and I were going to an investment seminar. He was like he was concerned because we've got Paul Winkler as my financial advisor, and I advertise with Paul. And Bell asked me very seriously. He said, "Hey, does Paul know you're going to this investment seminar with Jay?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "Well, I'm just surprised you brought it up on the air if you're going to some investment seminar." And I said, "Bell, it's the casino." And you could see the light bulb going on over his head, and he went like, "Oh." And then I think you called me a curse name. I think you said a curse.
I do that daily.
Well, it's true.
So I couldn't remember that one specific, but what I almost did to you to get back, and it didn't end up happening because of all the stuff in Israel. It just got too heavy on a news day. I talked to Paul Winkler, and I was going to have him call in and go, I thought I taught you better than this. I thought I trained you better than this. What are you thinking?
Well, you know what? Paul Winkler, even with the knowledge that we were going to the craps table, probably should have made that call anyway.
I don't think it would have been that funny of a joke on the day that Israel got attacked.
That's true. I just don't. You know what? It's not in my best long-term financial interest that I spend too much time in Tunica, Mississippi. I'll put it that way. All right, Jay. Let me see if I can figure. I'm going to do this on my own. Let's go to Brian in Hendersonville. Brian, you're on with Jay St. Clair. Do you have a question about the Donald Trump lawsuit?
Well, yeah. Just trying to wrap my head around this. I know every time I go to get a loan, just got one for a new house, I tell them what I'm worth, and then I have to write it down on paper. And then for some reason, the bank goes and does due diligence and makes sure that I'm telling the truth. Well, how in the world would Chase not do the same thing with Trump?
And
they did. Absolutely.
Well, right. There you go, Jay.
Excuse me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
No, they absolutely did, Brian. And Chase says, listen, we don't assume any financial statement that anybody gives us is 100% correct. We went and formed our own judgment. Trump said he was worth about $4 billion. We thought it was about 3.25. So we were comfortable loaning him money at 3%.
So they've already stated what they believed his value was according to their assessment?
Yeah, it's not on the record. It's not under oath, but that's right. Yep.
I mean, this is just preposterous. I have no earthly idea on how this could even be, remotely. Well, I do know because they want to destroy him in any way, shape, or form that they can. But I don't know. It flabbergasts me.
Well,
Brian, Brian, all I can say about it is this. The 21st century has not turned out like I thought it would. I thought we were moving forward. We're moving backwards, Brian. It's awful.
I think you said it really well, Jay, when you said a minute ago that if Donald Trump announced today that he were no longer running for president of the United States, these lawsuits go away virtually overnight as a result, because that's ultimately what it's all about. Let's talk to David, who is in Nashville. David, you're on with Jay St. Clair. What's on your mind? What's your question? Hey, David. D-Man. D-Money.
Hello?
Hey, David, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Go ahead. I was thinking, would Trump have a lawsuit against Chase Bank that because discrimination, since they're going to make him pay more interest and somebody else that's worth $2.5 billion?
Well,
not really, because banks have a right to price their loans based on their assessment of the risk of the customer. And, now if they were to charge differently based on race, sex, age, yes, that's absolutely illegal and they could sue them for that. But if a bank says, we're going to loan Matt at money at 3% because he's trustworthy and we know he's going to pay it. That St. Clair guy, he gambles way too much. We're going to have to pay him. He's going to have to pay 6%. That's not illegal. Then I just have to decide whether I'm willing to pay that rate or not.
Jay, I have a no solicitation sign in plain sight, writes 3252. What can I do about these folks that blatantly ignore it? Are they breaking the law, and how can I hold them accountable?
It's kind of like posted property. You post no trespassing, and that's sort of what it's a limiting kind of. If you don't come trying to sell on my property. You could have them arrested for trespassing. The crime is trespassing. do you really want to go to that trouble? I'm guessing that this was a text, right? That's on the caller.
Yes, it was a texter.
If he has a no solicitation sign posted, then I'm going to guess this is a commercial place of business. It's not his home. And, what I would do is just tell the people, look, if you don't leave, I'm going to have you arrested for trespassing. Then, do you really want to get involved in all that? Probably not. But I would say if you tell them that, they're going to leave. Sir, this is posted property. No solicitation. If you don't leave, I'm calling the police and swearing out a warrant for trespass.
And boy, I feel like that would handle the situation, don't
I
you?
believe they're going to leave.
Yeah.
Well, unless they're Georgia fans. Then they may get down on all fours and bark at you.
He's so mean. Mandy, thank you, Belle. Thank you, Belle. Get rid of that nasty taste out of my mouth with a little glory. Mandy writes in and says, a husband and wife owned business. The husband is full-time, the wife part-time, and I don't know what this means, SAHM. I don't know what that means. Husband puts money into a joint account, no paychecks for either, and no Social Security for the wife for 11 years, only for the husband. Is it legal for the wife not receive Social Security? I can read this again if it doesn't make sense to you, because it certainly doesn't make sense to me.
I am familiar with a situation like this, frankly. In other words, let's say a company just is paying people under the counter, Matt, paying them cash, not reporting any of the income, and not withholding any Social Security. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure that the answer to that is that you're not due Social Security benefits. So it breaks my heart to tell you that. But if you didn't pay into the system, even against the law, then you're not in the system and you don't have the benefits there. It's awful. I had a situation about that. So now, if they didn't report the income to Social Security and they didn't pay in their portion of it and didn't withhold it from your check, then you don't have an account with Social Security. I'm so sorry.
Wendy wants to know, Jay, can we legally challenge the daylight saving time?
Well, again, I don't try to be too difficult, but can we legally challenge it? Yeah, you can find it. It takes two things to file a lawsuit, but you're going to lose that lawsuit. I mean, you're just going to lose it. I mean, to get that changed, get those rich men, north of Richmond, to get off their behind and pass a law that does away with daylight savings times.
And finally, before we go, this question from 2213. When is Jay going to take one for the team and convince Pamela Furr to become a Vols fan? Now, in the interest of full disclosure, I should note that Pamela Furr is a Crimson Tide fan.
Yeah.
And that, Jay, this would take, I've seen you in action. I've never seen you in a courtroom, but I've seen you in a deposition. I've heard your legal mind. I am so impressed by it. This would take, I think, all of your legal prowess and skill if you chose to take up this case. But I don't know that you would take it up.
No, I wouldn't, because here's the thing. I mean, I deal in logic and facts, man, and clarity. There is nothing logical or factual or clear about Bammers. Listen, you can negotiate with terrorists. I'm down here. I'm living amongst them.
I know you are.
I mean, just shoot up here amongst us. One of us has got to have relief.
You know, what I love about this is Jay and I have spoken for 20 years in and amongst the Bama faithful, and I've never once heard him speak with this level of clarity about Alabama fans. And
well, no, I don't think anybody from Alabama is listening to this radio show.
Well, I was about to say.
Wait a minute. Judge Minor's listening. Oh, but he's an Auburn.
He's an Auburn guy.
Okay.
No, see, that's where I was going, is that Jay's always thinking about the next jury that he's going to be standing in front of, and there is 0.0 chance that he would be lambasting Crimson Tide fans in Birmingham, Alabama. But in Nashville, Tennessee, no problem.
No, you're exactly right. You know me really well.
Oh, I love
Wait
that.
a minute. What about the off chance that you just happen to get a random Crimson Tide fan in your jury pool?
Well, then roll Tide. I mean,
but you can't lambast him in Nashville if there's a chance.
you take that shot.
Ugh.
Take that shot. Sometimes you just got to take the shot. Jay, it is always a pleasure, my friend. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the racing, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, brother.
All right, take care. This is Jay St. Clair. What a good session of Fry Jay, where you ask legal questions of my best friend and life consultant, Jay St. Clair. It's 151 on Super Talk.
Gambling buddy.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Coming up just after the top of the hour, that would be 2 o'clock, Senator Jack Johnson will join us. I had this slightly wrong. I said that he was on the airport authority board, I guess it is. And I need to correct myself. He is not on the board as of like right now because a judge said no, the General Assembly did not have the ability to usurp the authority of the local community. We're going to figure all of this out coming up just after 2 o'clock with Jack Johnson. I'm excited about that. Don't forget, Friday Mac Attack at 2:35 this afternoon, and we are drafting scripted television shows. Is that fair?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can more define that if we need to, but I'm thinking scripted TV.
Okay, I'm fine with that there. I think what Bell and I are trying to avoid are reality shows and game shows.
Gotcha. Yeah, let's keep those out.
Because Wheel of Fortune is
you
later
going?
in the
I'm drafting Sunday night football. I'm going to draft Monday night football too.
Yeah.
Oh, and I want Thursday night
I want
football.
all the
also.
footballs.
You're right. Scripted.
Well, we can do unscripted at some different time, and you can have all the footballs you want. In the meantime, Senator Jack Johnson will be along in just moments. We'll talk about the state of affairs with BNA Airport, what he can tell us, and what the General Assembly may do regarding this judge's ruling. We'll do that next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN News Now with Mac Maury.
It is 2 o'clock. I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Currently 65 degrees and a beautiful fall day on Music Row, and expecting that for the weekend. Sunny, clear skies, and highs in the low to mid-70s. Full weather forecast coming up 2 minutes away. As U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken continues to push Israeli officials for a humanitarian pause, a flow of Americans are finally leaving Gaza over the Rafah border crossing, ending for many weeks of uncertainty. Inestela Katera in Jerusalem with more.
At the Rafah border crossing in the south, the White House says 79 Americans and their families were among the hundreds of foreign nationals to enter Egypt in recent days. American Ma El-Bana, an aid worker from New Jersey, now safe in Cairo.
I've been through a lot. If I hear like a loud noise, I jump. I had a panic attack.
And the White House has made clear that America is not advocating for a general ceasefire or an overall cessation of hostilities and overall stoppage of fighting. They believe that would only benefit Hamas. And in our nation's capital, the Supreme Court says it will hear a case on the legality of bump stocks, devices that can turn semi-automatic rifles into rapid-fire weapons with a single pull of a trigger. Stephen Portnoy.
The High Court has agreed to take up the Biden administration's appeal of a lower court ruling that struck down the ATF's bump stock ban. That ban was put in place by the Trump administration after the 2017 massacre at a concert in Las Vegas. The shooter used a bump stock to rapidly fire more than 1,000 rounds, killing 58 people. The Supreme Court will decide whether bump stocks can be deemed to fall under the long-standing federal ban on machine guns.
And right now in Tennessee, News 2 reports that 19 cats were found in a Hermitage dumpster last night. 17 of them were dead. They were found near a T-Mobile store off of Old Hickory Boulevard. The 2 felines that made it out alive are right now at a care facility. The incident still being investigated. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you for being with us. 2:06 right now as we enter our final hour of the day and our final hour of the week. And we are pleased that you've decided to join us today. For those of you tuning in for Friday Mac Attack, I know that there are many people that tune in specifically for Friday Mac Attack. They might not listen to a moment of the show for the rest of the week, but on Fridays at 2 o'clock, they're here, they're present and accounted for, and they're ready to go. Never you fear. We'll all suffer through Jack Johnson for not.
Do you know how intimidating it is to be on this program between Jay St. Clair and Friday Mac Attack? I mean, this is wasted space.
You better bring it. You better bring it, Johnson. It's time to bring the heat.
Gee whiz.
Friday Mac Attack is coming up at 2:35 this afternoon, and we are drafting. What are we drafting? Scripted TV shows.
TV shows.
That's going to be a fun draft. If I'm first, I'm going to just mop the floor with you guys. You know what? I think I have 2 shows that I'm going to draft that aren't even on your boards. I might just leave them for undrafted free agents.
I guarantee you at least 2 of your shows he will have never heard of.
Yeah.
Or seen. Sure.
Yeah, at least seen.
Courtship of Eddie's Father? No
No idea what
way.
you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know who Bill Bixby is?
Nope.
Incredible Hulk.
Do you know that television was at one time black and white? Do you know that?
Do you know television was one time just audio only?
Speaking of olden times, Jack Johnson's with us.
I'm
I
here.
don't know why I'm picking on you today, but I am.
It's Friday. I deserve it.
Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't
Glad
believe that I have seen you since your barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
And
Thank you for coming, by the
What
way.
a great success it seemed to be. I mean, I've
was.
never been to another one, but that one seemed to be well attended, and everyone seemed to be having a good time.
No, I think everybody did. It's always a lot of fun to put it on. It's the one event of the year that I get to decide the dress code. I get to decide how long the speeches are. I get to do all those things. And so I try to make it a fun event that people enjoy coming to, because we all have to go to a lot of events that sometimes are not quite as fun.
Can be a little bit laborious from time to time. Believe it or not, I've learned over my many years doing this that politicians enjoy listening to themselves talk. So I appreciate the fact that everything was kept in it was pithy, it was succinct, but it was good. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you being there. And Pamela Furr, as always, did an amazing job.
She's really good.
She does a national anthem at a delivery that is amazing.
It's tip-top.
Amazing.
It's tip-top, absolutely. And Pamela, if you're listening, you did a great job. I was unaware until recently that you were on the airport authority. But then you tell me that you're not.
That's my understanding. That's correct. We have some pending litigation
I would think
involved.
you would know.
In that, my assistant was we were going over my schedule for next week, and I had airport authority meetings on there. She said, "Are you going to those?" And I said, "I don't think so. I don't know. Let's see what happens in the court." No, what happened is, you're right. Back, your listeners may remember, we passed legislation back during our session earlier this year relative to the Airport Authority Board. And by the way, we did something similar with the Sports Authority Board. So you have these entities like the Airport Authority that it's been around for a long time. We have a massive airport in Nashville. It's growing very rapidly. It's one of the busiest airports in the country. And only 30% of the traffic going through that airport comes from Nashville. 70% comes from outside of Nashville, either elsewhere in Tennessee or even other states. And yet the sole appointing authority for that board was the mayor of Nashville. And so we've been talking about it and Metro Nashville gives them no money. The state of Tennessee has given them tens and tens of millions of dollars to help with their expansion and different things because they're growing so fast. So we said, we think we ought to have some appointing authority other than the mayor. So we passed a bill that says the mayor can appoint 2 members of the board, the governor can appoint 2, and then each of the speakers, Speaker of the House, Speaker of the Senate, can appoint 2. And I was fully supportive of that legislation. Had no idea the lieutenant governor would ask me to be one of his appointments on the board, but he did, and I was honored to do that. So I joined the board on July 1, but in light of the recent court decision, that is in limbo.
So I guess this begs the question. Let's start here. Was there an issue? Was there a problem that we were attempting to solve with regard to the board?
So there had been some concerns in recent years about the airport and the governance of the airport and the way the board was operating the airport. I will say that the CEO of the airport does an amazing job, wonderful staff that is there. But the General Assembly had been looking at this issue for a while. And again, the question is, when Metro Nashville gives no money to the airport, only 30% of the traffic for the airport comes from the city of Nashville. Why does Nashville have the complete control over who serves on that airport authority? Why don't we have people from Williamson County or Sumner County or other places to help govern that board? And that's what this legislation sought to remedy, but it was challenged by Metro government.
Forgive my ignorance, but Jack, what does the board do?
So it's a board of directors. And so certainly the most important thing any board does is hire the CEO.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a wonderful CEO at the Nashville airport. His name's Doug Crulin. He's a good friend. He's been there for a number of years and does an amazing job running that airport. But they have approval over appropriations or money, spending money on projects. And with an airport that is growing as rapidly as the Nashville airport is, as you know, anyone who's flown through,
of stuff going on.
The new hotel is being built, parking garages, runway improvements, expansions. There's just a lot of activity going on out there.
And so that's the decision-making process.
Yeah,
it has to go to the board. The board has to vote on doing these certain things.
Exactly. And it is a multi-billion-dollar operation.
I mean, so not to belabor it, but is it fair to say that there isn't anything specific that the General Assembly was attempting to identify as something that they felt like needed solving, that the Metro-appointed board was not solving? Or was it more broadly, hey, we believe that this should be better representative of the people utilizing the facility?
Yeah, I think if you ask some of the people who are maybe more intimately involved with it, under the old board, they would tell you that there were some issues with regards to how the board was functioning. I don't know that I can speak with any great authority over that. But again, this was a conversation that's been going on for some time. And I was fully supportive of the legislation. I'm very disappointed that it was
What was the reasoning?
deemed unconstitutional.
What was the reasoning?
So really three things that the court looked at or that Metro cited as being things that they felt like were unconstitutional. One is you'll hear the term oftentimes when there's litigation between local governments and the state or there's legislation, you'll hear the term home rule. And effectively, home rule just says that you can't pass laws that target one individual municipality. I don't think that this legislation did that. It was relative to metropolitan forms of government. And Nashville is a metropolitan form of government. There's also what's referred to as an anti-ripper clause in our state constitution that says the state cannot remove county or local officials from office. So the state can't come in and remove a duly elected, say, sheriff from their office unless, it rises. They've committed some crime or something like that. You can do that. But that's a matter for a local government. And again, so it begs the question, are members who serve on the Metro Airport Authority Board considered to be what the Constitution would deem those local officials? And then the third thing was an equal protection allegation because the Nashville Airport was the only one that was affected by this legislation. But again, they are unique. It's a metropolitan form of government.
Okay, so this applied to Metro form. There's other Metro forms of government in the state?
There are two others. That's right. Trousdale and Moore County.
Do they have airports?
I don't believe so. They certainly don't have commercial airports.
So, in a de facto way, this applied only to Nashville.
It did, but we pass laws like that all the time. And I understand the provision that's in the Constitution. I think it's a good thing to have in the Constitution. But yes, we will pass legislation from time to time. I'll give you a good example. We passed legislation that was challenged in the courts and was upheld by the state Supreme Court relative to education savings accounts that only applied to Memphis and Nashville because we set a criteria there that they had to have a certain, if a county, any school district had a certain number of failing schools, then this education savings account program would go into place. So there we passed legislation that did only affect those two counties, but any other county could be affected by it if they met the same standard.
So let me tilt to this where the rubber meets the runway, if you will. In your short tenure on the authority, are you comfortable with how the airport continues to function amidst the incredible amount? I mean, I go by there every day, live out in Mount Juliet, so I see it. There's a lot of construction going on. There's a lot of road construction, yes. Runway construction. There's a lot of physical construction on the hotel. You mentioned that. And obviously there are growing pains. And I see the backups. And I asked the question the other day without knowledge that you were on the airport authority. Otherwise, I would have called you. It's like, Is everyone in charge comfortable with this, or is someone doing something to try to figure out how to alleviate it in the short term while they build out in the long term?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's made some news. Again, it's a good problem to have for the airport because so many people are utilizing it. It's highly solvent in terms of the revenues that they bring in, and projects are planned for additional runways. And I mean, there's when you're running an airport, you're looking 10, 20, 30 years out, right? And so relative to the traffic in and out of the airport, that is becoming a problem. Yes, there's short-term solution relative to that exit that comes right off of I-40 if you're heading eastbound towards Mount Juliet or Lebanon to get off there. And as you know, because you drive it every day, there is a massive interchange that is being designed and constructed right now that will help that.
And, I was on Donaldson the other day, passing the airport, and I was looking at some of the paving activity that was going on, and it looks like when all is said and done, you were on the airport authority, so you'll be able to confirm this. It looks like that traffic going that way will be actually traveling on the runway. I mean, it
looks that way.
It actually is. It's that close.
Donaldson Pike is being rerouted and moved closer to the runway. No, we won't have automobiles.
Oh, that will be the overpass? That will actually be Donaldson Pike?
Absolutely. It's going to be rerouted right through that area. If you look at an aerial view of the newly designed interchange that's there, it's quite spectacular.
And this is all designed to get the airport traffic better off the interstate and off Donaldson and into the facility.
And as you might imagine, when you're trying to run an airport and you're running 29 million people a year through that airport. Here's an interesting thing that I learned while I was on the airport. When I first moved to Tennessee 30-something years ago, something like 85% of the traffic in the airport was connecting flights. Only 15% of the people getting on a plane originated from Nashville because we were an American Airlines hub. And then later, American Airlines pulled their hub, Southwest came in. And so the amount of traffic in terms of people that actually are driving to the airport has increased exponentially over the last decade or so. But big plans to get that alleviated, but there are going to be some pains in the process.
Okay, let's circle back to the lawsuit. So Metro Council sues, and they come out victorious with this 3-judge panel. Up to the Attorney General as to what happens next?
That's correct. Yeah, the Attorney General is reviewing the opinion and will be making the appropriate decisions about appealing that decision and in what manner, whether to ask to have an injunction placed on the vacating the existing board. Because
the previous board stopped meeting, right?
That's correct.
And you guys, what do you meet once a month?
We do. We have committee meetings on one day and then full board meeting on another day.
And so now, as it stands, the old board is back into place?
That's yes. The opinion specifically vacates the new board that effectively took effect on July 1 and reinstates the previous board. So it's a bit of a mess.
So what about this alleviates the amount of people that I see walking down the interstate with their... Have you seen this?
Yeah, I saw news reports of it as well. During peak times, that traffic will back up.
Is that because of the cell phone lot?
That's part of it. They had a temporary cell phone lot that was somewhat farther off-site.
Right.
I think plans were in place by the staff to allow utilization of some of the existing parking in lieu of a cell phone lot. So all those kind of things are being discussed now. But what your listeners need to know as well, remember, there are effectively 3 ways to get into the airport. You can come from Murfreesboro Road on Donaldson Pike and come in that way. You can just take Donaldson Pike from 40. So sometimes that traffic being backed up on that one exit, you could just go right up to the next exit and take Donaldson Pike to the right and go down. Now, sometimes that gets backed up as well, but there are 3 entry points that you can utilize.
See, I didn't think about this, but you're right. If you're heading eastbound on 40, you can take I call it the B&A exit.
The dedicated exit.
The dedicated exit. But then if you just skip that and go right to Donaldson, you can still take a right on Donaldson and go to the airport that way.
Right. And by the way, if you are valet parking, if you're utilizing the valet, you need to do that because you can't, from the I-40, the dedicated exit, you can't cut across the however many lanes of traffic to get into
You see what having a former member, I should say, of the airport authority,
brief member,
former brief, tiny 2 meeting members of the airport authority can do for the edification of the show. Can you stick around for some other
absolutely
unrelated issues? 220 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Senator Jack Johnson's with us. I'm going to ask him about the anticipation of the regular session coming up in January and whether or not he's begun to consider bills and filings and priorities. We'll do that next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. USS stands for United Structural Systems. Friends, it's Matt Murphy, and I would love if you called United Structural Systems the next time you are made aware of or become aware of a structural issue in your home. Now, you don't want to think about this. I understand that. You don't want to think about it because it's a bummer. I mean, if you have foundation issues in your home, if you have structural issues, if you have waterproofing issues, that means you're going to have to spend money that you'd prefer to spend on vacations or an automobile or any number of different things, pleasurable items. Well, this is functional, and it's important, is as important as you can imagine, and you need a company that is trustworthy as the issue is important, and that is United Structural Systems. Over 25,000 satisfied residential customers. They can assist you in all of your structural needs and have been doing so since 1994. They like to say they guarantee their best at USS. Go ahead and give them a call and schedule an appointment today, 615-488-7855, 488-7855, or online at USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com.
An update on the Israel-Hamas war, some crime in Tennessee, some terrible crime in Tennessee. Plus, what crappy old TV show is Matt Murphy going to draft on this week's Friday Mac Attack? It's all coming up here in the next few minutes.
Wait a minute. Did you just preview the Friday Mac Attack? Is that what you did there? I like that. I like that. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. Our portion of the broadcast day lasts until about 3 o'clock this afternoon. We've got about 5 more minutes with Jack John. My sound sounds weird in here, Bell. I don't know why. Do I sound odd in there? Do I sound okay in there?
Consistently.
Well, thank you.
No, actually, I don't see anything different, and it doesn't sound weird to me.
And it sounds very odd to me. I don't know. And I saw Johnson over there wiggling his thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that wiggle indicates to me that the sound over there sounds as odd as it sounds over here. So there's 2 guys in here saying that. Shut up, Mac Morey. I see you in there. Does Todd have a question for Mr. Johnson? Is that right?
I think he had a response about the backup.
As to why it's backing up?
Yeah.
Should I take this response?
Sure.
I mean, you're the phone screener in there. Okay. Hey, Todd, how are you? You're on with Jack Johnson and Matt Murphy.
Hey, guys, you should definitely take this. So I drive Uber, and I'm going to the airport all day, every day. And I think that the problem is that you're going 55, or 70 coming off the interstate, and then they have a sign in the construction that says 25 right away. And I think people that don't know, they get scared, and they slam on their brakes, and then everybody has to slam on their brakes. So if they tapered it down, I think it would help on the short term. So that's my 2 cents.
This is on I-40?
Yeah, coming into the airport, you can go down, to the next exit, but it's so much quicker and more convenient. And it's usually just people getting timid and scared because they see all the signs and the construction. There's nothing in the way ever.
Yeah, you're Ubering, right? You're an Uber?
I'm Uber.
Yeah, but you know what, Todd, you'd know better than me, but I mean, I've seen it. It's more than that. There are backups where the traffic is stopped on the interstate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because
and that's
one
what
guy
I'm talking
stops
about.
and everybody has to stop.
Well, and apparently there are a lot, and thank you, Todd, for the call. There are a lot of people that are taking others to the airport, and the concern is, and I've seen it with my own eyes, and I saw the report that you're referring to, Jack, is that when you get to the point where people are on the off-ramp and they're thinking, oh, well, a preferable way to get this done and handled so I can get to my flight is to go ahead and get out of the car on the off-ramp. I'm not saying they're doing it on the interstate, but they are on the off-ramp. I've seen it. And grab their bags and just walk it up. Well, kudos to them for being willing to do that, but that's a little dangerous.
It is, and again, the airport staff can tell you, even with those backups, they have ways to monitor how long it's taking to get up to the terminal. And it came up in some of our discussions and board and committee meetings there, and the point was made by a staffer saying that if the car had stayed there, the car would have gotten there faster than the person.
Right. Don't get out. In other words, don't get out of your car.
No,
don't get out of your car. Believe it or not, it's November 3rd. I mean, that's not the part that's unbelievable. The part that's unbelievable, you're going to be in regular session in a couple of months.
Yeah, about 2 months. That's right.
It doesn't feel like you ever got out of session.
It's been an interesting year. It really has. It's been a busy one with the special session and all that, but it's good. I'm excited. I always look forward to the beginning of session.
Well, what's on your radar screen? Anything?
So, I wear 2 hats, as you know, because I serve as majority leader, and I'm also a state senator from Williamson County. And so part of my responsibility as majority leader is working with the governor's office and the administration on legislative initiatives that they have. We'll be meeting with them in the coming days, I think actually next week, to kind of go through what the governor has in terms of legislative initiatives. I don't want to get ahead of him, but that will start to crystallize. Obviously, budget hearings are taking place, getting ready for the governor to present his budget. So my process is to kind of make sure I'm good with that and kind of know what I'm going to be dealing with the governor, because that's my responsibility.
And for those that don't know, part of your responsibility is, I guess if you had particular objection with a piece of legislation, you would not carry it. But typically, on the Senate side of things, if the governor has bills that you guys are simpatico with, you carry that legislation.
Exactly. And thank you for saying that. I mean, there was a pretty high-profile bill back late in this past session that the governor wanted introduced, and I would not introduce it. So yes, I don't automatically rubber stamp anything the governor wants to do. It's my job to work with he and his staff when there are concerns and issues and try to get those addressed. And then certainly the things, as you said, that we're in agreement on, then we get those filed and introduced.
Well, we're very excited about having politicians back in it. Hold on to your wallets, everybody. The politicians are back in town.
In Tennessee, we're the lowest tax state in the nation. So
I know. We should count our blessings in a lot of ways. Are I don't want to speak out of school. I don't want to mischaracterize things that were said at your barbecue and boots event. But I think I remember, based on certain comments that were made there by you, that you're pleased with the outcome of the elections in Franklin.
Oh, overwhelmingly. Yes, absolutely. Very pleased.
You're a fan of Ken Moore.
I'm a fan of Dr. Ken Moore. We've been friends for Mayor Moore. We've been friends for a long time. I think he's been a great mayor. I haven't agreed with every decision he's going to make, but Matt, we have to get out of this world where if you don't agree with me 100 out of 100 times,
Amen.
then you're a rhino, you're a moderate, you're a swamp
Wolf
preacher,
in sheep's
whatever.
clothing, right?
We have to get out of that. Reagan said, if you're with me 80% of the time, you're my ally. But we're living in a world now where there are social media trolls out there that they will come after you over 1 out of 1,000 things that they disagree with.
I'm not here to beat a dead horse, but I will say that most of what I heard coming out of Franklin regarding that race is there were certain candidates in the race that were speaking of Franklin as if Franklin was some hellscape. I mean, that was just on the verge of complete and total collapse. And while I understand why good people might have some disagreements about the direction of this or that, or, you know, the building of a, whatever it might be, you know, individual issue-oriented disagreements, I've been to Franklin.
It's a wonderful place.
It's a wonderful city.
I live there, and I'm proud to have my family there. And I will tell you, it is one of the best run, best managed cities in America. And so you don't come in, especially we had one alderman candidate that had moved here 11 months ago from California. So you move here, you're here 11 months, and because you move here because you love it, and the first thing you want to do is fire all the people that made it the wonderful community it is. I don't understand that, but yes, I was very, very happy, not only with the mayor's race, but all 4 of the aldermen seats. Wonderful people that got elected, and as a Franklin resident, I'm very pleased with the election outcome.
Jack, you don't have a vote in this, but we're about to have our draft on scripted television shows. If you had the first pick in the draft, what would you pick? Well, scripted TV.
So, you mean like my favorite?
Yeah,
or like
your favorite.
Happy Days.
That's pretty good.
That's a pretty good one. That's nice. And,
would Laverne and Shirley be in your top 5?
Laverne and Shirley. Well, you remember if those my age. I mean, Tuesday night was a big night because it was Happy Days, then Laverne and Shirley, and then Three's Company.
Yep.
So I'm dating myself now. I was very young at that time. When
you
those
hear
shows
him
were
saying,
on.
"Yep, yep, yep." I mean, Bell is as old as Jack Johnson.
How old are you, Jack?
I'm 55.
I'm older than he is. I'm older than he is.
Well, I'm going to just go to the break, let Mac do the news, and you guys can talk about the olden times.
The olden days.
Thank you, Jack.
I will be listening. Thank you for having me on.
We appreciate you. News now and Mac Attack coming up just moments from now. It's 2:32 on Super Talk.
$2:33, I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. Sunny, 65 degrees, and a beautiful fall weekend ahead with highs in the 70s. Full weather forecast coming up in 2 minutes. Another tense day in the Middle East. Tom Rivers.
Back in the region, Secretary Blinken echoing his backing of Israel.
We stand strongly with and behind Israel in its right and obligation to defend itself, defend its people.
And he says the U.S. is working behind the scenes to get humanitarian pauses in place for Gaza.
We see it as a way also, and very importantly, of creating a better environment in which hostages can be released.
Meanwhile, Israel's Netanyahu has ruled out a temporary ceasefire in the Gaza Strip.
And the White House has made clear that America is not advocating for a general ceasefire. They believe that would only benefit Hamas. Crime right now in Tennessee. News 2 says that a Nashville man is facing child pornography charges. A tip from Discord helped officials discover the crime and catch 28-year-old Garrett Shields. The explicit photos were kept on the chat server. Over 100 videos of minors were found. Shields is now in jail with a $65,000 bond. And the MyPillow guy is getting pushback from election officials against an election security device he's rolling out. Dave Packer reports.
The Pitchman founder of MyPillow is promoting a device he says can help secure elections. Mike Lindell, one of the leading promoters of false 2020 election fraud claims, says the electronic sniffer can detect if voting machines are connected to the internet. Lindell telling ABC News that the monitoring devices have already been sent to election officials in several states, including Kentucky, where election official Aaron Huber calls the device a solution in search of a problem. He says voting machines are physically incapable of receiving wireless internet connections.
And that is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN 239. Thank you for being around. We appreciate you. You see what I'm talking about? I'm not
So
crazy,
weird.
am I?
No, it's
I'm
just-
not insane.
No,
I
it
told
does
you.
sound really weird.
It's like
At first
a
I was
piece
like,
of-
okay, Matt, drama queen, we get it.
Diva in the studio.
Yeah.
Being all diva. And I'm not blaming, I feel like Bell thinks I'm blaming him.
I think
I'm not
he does.
blaming Bell, of course. It's like static electricity or something comes through here, and then there we go. And then, but by Monday, it's all repaired.
So it's magically
It's like
fine.
a troll. Hey, Bell.
Yeah.
What day is it?
Friday.
It's Friday.
Yeah.
What time is it?
Nice.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Friday Mac Attack.
Come on. Let's
You
get
know
pumped.
what? If you are a business,
Absolutely.
let me tell you something. If you're this is the fastest growing, through the roof segment of the Matt Murphy Show. This one and Friday. So if you're a business and you're looking for a sponsorship opportunity, right there I would have said your name. Friday Mac Attack, brought to you by Mimi. Your business here. So, and then Maury gets a cut back, and we're all happy.
Heck yeah.
All
I'm
right.
in.
So we have been doing this for a number of weeks. I'm very excited about the format now.
Yes. I know. This is so fun.
It is.
And people are getting involved. Super texters getting involved. This is great.
So we draft every week on Friday Mac Attack, and Mac Maury selects the subject of the weekly draft. What is that today, Mac?
Today, Matt, and we talked about it just now off the air. Today, though, we are going to do TV shows, scripted TV shows. So we're not going to do, any Jersey Shore, any Wheel of Fortune.
Game shows.
Yeah, none of that.
Sort of thing.
Scripted TV shows. Now, here in a couple months, as we go through some more drafts, we go, hey, what about comedies? What about sitcoms? We'll go narrow it in.
Sure.
But for right now, we're going to start with TV shows.
Television shows of a scripted variety of all time.
All time.
All right. Bell, you ready?
Yep.
All right. We've got to figure out draft order. You know how we do it. We always do evens odds, and we all put up our numbers. And ready? Go. We all did odds. Okay. And ready? Go.
Oh, okay. Bell's got number one.
Bell's got number one. And then you just need to tell me whether it's even or odd.
It's even.
It's odd. That means I've got number two. So Bell is drafting number one. By the way, our even and odd selection makes much more sense on TV. So if you're watching on Super Talk TV, you understand it. If you're not, you're like, what the hell are they doing? And by the way, Bell just flipped me the big time bird twice. And he did it that way intentionally. I know what he's doing. You could have used your pointer finger if you wanted to. You did not. You used
I got an inch.
Sorry. I might be doing that if they still
Suspension inbound.
All right, so Bell's one, I'm two, Mac Maury is three. I don't believe. Can I just make a prediction?
Yes, please.
I don't believe we're going to have a lot of overlap.
I don't think there's going to be conflicting interests today.
Yeah, I agree. You and Matt and I might have a little overlap.
Yes, you guys might.
Yeah, I feel like you're about to steal one of my guys, but that's okay. I'm feeling okay with it. I'm at peace with it. But I feel like it's about to happen.
Your draft room's prepared for this.
Yes, we know that we're drafting second. Yeah, that's exactly right. We know we're drafting second. We know that Bell K's over there.
He's a rival.
We know exactly what he's looking for. We know what he needs to fill out the team.
Oh, yeah.
And so we are prepared to not have our number one select.
Exactly.
If he's here,
great. We'll welcome him.
But if he's not, we're ready for that.
You've prepared.
Bell K, your number one draft selection, please.
This was so easy for me. The other two were a little harder, but the original Star Trek series.
Wow.
One that I have watched some of, not all of.
Wow. Only what, 3 years?
3 years. I think 69 episodes.
You know what? I did not consider the original Star Trek. And so that was not one of my draft selections.
Wow, so your number one's still
and
sitting
so
there.
my number one is still available and ready to go, but I'm not going to go where I was going to go. I'm going to give Bell an opportunity to swipe this one if he so desires, because I can't let this one stay on the board as my number one pick. It is the number one situation comedy of all time. Many would say the number one television show of all time. It is Seinfeld. And I'm going.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm going.
That's a good choice.
I'm going.
It's a very good choice.
I'm going Seinfeld. I got yada, yada, yada. I got master of my domain. I got all of that at my disposal. My number one selection, Seinfeld.
T-Bone.
Matt
Yeah,
Maury.
that's great. I'm going to go with the greatest show of all time. This is the best written show ever. Tremendous acting. I know. This is some big claims. These are already. I can already see the super texters firing it away. They're going to be mad at this. But give me Breaking Bad.
Oh, wow, Breaking Bad.
He actually picked one I didn't expect.
I didn't expect that either.
It's the best show ever.
And here's what I got to tell you. Here's confession time. I've never seen it. I know.
Well, now
I know.
I've seen some episodes.
Everyone tells me I've got to see it. Everyone tells me Walter White's awesome. Everybody talks about how awesome. I mean, I get it, and I want to, and it's kind of on the list. It's been out there forever, and I
am the danger.
I
you need.
I don't have.
Say my name. I know even the lines.
The episodes I've seen have all been for free during, when Google would have them up. For free
yeah.
We're getting a lot of reaction on the super text line. Keep it coming. Let's do it. I've never seen I'm not alone. I'm being told I'm not alone. 1300, you're an evil person, and you need to get with the Lord. If you think Gilligan's Island should be anywhere near the top of anybody's draft about television shows, for goodness gracious. Philip, we said scripted. I wouldn't consider The Young and the Restless a script. It's trash. Anyway,
wow.
Round number
Somebody's
2.
A little.
I'm a little judgmental. Round number 2 starts right now with Bell K in the 2023 Best Television Show of All Time draft. His second selection is
MASH.
That's a good one.
The finale still holds the record for the largest television audience ever, with almost half the country watching.
I knew that stat, and that is incredible. That is a show that is on my book. I've had, like Breaking Bad with you, I've had multiple people say, hey, man, you got to go back. You got to watch MASH.
I was never a fan.
Okay.
I was never a fan.
That just makes you not a nice
the
person.
plot, the characters.
You know what? No, what the reason I wasn't a fan, and I don't mean to get serious here, but this is true. So when I was a youngster, my mother remarried, and my stepfather was a Vietnam War veteran, and he watched MASH, but he watched MASH like it was. I mean, you had to be quiet while you watched MASH.
No laughing.
So it was like an important deal, and it was odd to me, even as a 8-year-old, that we were doing it that way, and the theme song depresses me. So anyway, there it is. I'm really surprised because you have not selected the Andy Griffith Show, which will be my number 2 selection.
This draft's falling into your lap?
I mean, I thought Andy Griffith would be off the board in the first round. Here he is in the second round. I got Seinfeld. I got a little bit of the 1990s. I got some of the older shows, and Andy Griffith Show holds up. And as we said earlier today, the only person married in that show is the town drunk. And that should tell you something about marriage, McMurray. Your number 2 selection is?
So you took one of the best situational comedies. I'm going to take, I don't know if I'd call it a situational comedy, just overall comedy show of the 21st century as defined multiple generations. Give me The Office.
Yeah.
That's a That's a really good one. That holds up.
I mean, that's fantastic.
Do you get? I'll give you UK and American versions.
Oh yeah!
I mean, I'll just give you both.
Gosh, please!
Ricky Gervais and Steve Carell. Come on! Have you seen the UK version?
Yes.
It's if you think America's version is cringy
and awkward, no.
Yeah, you've seen nothing. Like they had to tone it down when it got brought over here. That is serious level.
Gosh,
cringe.
Ricky. Oh no, it's so good.
It was amazing how that show got to be so popular. You had A-list movie stars, making their agents get them on that show.
Please get me on that show. Yeah. Oh, incredible. What a great run.
The general consensus over on the super text line is, and I'm going to say that the topic might be a little too broad because everybody's screaming at us at what shows we've not selected. We've got another round. It's okay. Round number 3 starts right now. We got to go quick. Bell, your selection for your third pick in the 2023 Best Television Show of All Time draft is?
This was hard because it was third, and you're down to your last choice.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to go with South Park.
It's really good. That's a great choice.
It's a good pick. If I were going cartoon, and I strongly consider I would go Bob's Burgers. Bob's Burgers over South Park for me.
Maybe we could have eliminated cartoons as an option, but we didn't. So
yeah,
we're learning, and we'll narrow this down.
No. We could do cartoons
Yes.
Yeah,
as
That
a
is-
subject.
Yes, that would be good.
Because a lot of people are suggesting The Simpsons, and I would tell you, The Simpsons was good for about 15 or 20 years. It sucks now.
Does it?
At least every time I've seen it.
So you're saying it's only been good for half its life?
Right. I mean, it's been on the air for
Seriously.
like 30
I mean,
years.
yeah, and that's South Park too, right? Almost 30 years now.
No, South Park started in 99.
Okay, so
98 or
still
99.
24 years.
24 years.
That's pretty good. All right, I'm going to. I've selected Seinfeld, which is just hilarious in and of itself. I've got Andy Griffith taken care of. Gosh, I want to go. No, it's too much like Seinfeld. So I'm going to go a different direction here. We need to fill some other needs. We need a drama. I'm going Law and Order. Law and Order.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
That one I didn't even think about that one.
Law and Order. So many years.
Yep.
So many DAs.
Oh, I forgot Blue Bloods too. Damn it.
See, I'm telling you, we need to subdivide.
Yeah, we
the
do. We
category.
really do.
All right. Final selection, McMorey.
You know, I've got a drama, I've got a comedy. I wanted to go something different, but I'm going to go with another comedy. Surprised this hasn't been picked yet. Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh,
I was thinking about Curb, but I went Seinfeld anyway.
Yeah,
Curb is great.
Feel pretty good. It feels pretty good.
Yeah,
Last
if
plus
you
a
know,
draft.
you know.
Let's be honest. Curb Your Enthusiasm, Seinfeld sequel.
Yeah, it's like what Seinfeld would have been for Larry David.
It was what
had
Larry
been
was
on-
writing for Seinfeld.
That's right.
Yep.
Instead of,
fair.
but he's
Except he had to do it
playing
for
the lead,
network
yeah.
television. Yeah, no, Curb is a terrific show if you're at all a fan of Larry David and if you've not seen it. Oh, my
Please
goodness
go.
gracious. So good.
And if you're not a fan of
MAGA
Larry
hat.
David, you
I mean,
have no sense of humor.
Spike Store? Oh, my God. So, I'm going to open a Spike Store.
Spike Store.
Spike Store.
So good.
All right, there it is, your 2023 television show draft. That is your Friday Mac Attack on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Our time is coming to a close for this day and this week. Brian Wilson just getting it cranked up for a Friday. Brian, what do you got coming on the horizon, my friend?
Oh, we got a lot of stuff we're going to be talking. Starting off with local news, where I'm sort of just trying to figure out exactly how crazy the people who run Nashville are. They are increasing in a very I think unpleasant way parking, which is it's a nightmare in Nashville to begin with, and I don't like their plan. And then I'm going to talk about that and the fact that they also apparently are now taking down the license plate readers.
Which, inexplicably to me. I don't understand why you have to take them down just to put them back up, but hopefully Brian Wilson will explain it all for us, and I'll be listening.
By the way, best TV show, without a doubt, Star Trek. The original series.
Bell K went with it for his first selection of his draft. I'm getting a lot of the Waltons, which
my opinion of Bell has gone up immensely.
Well, there you go. There you have it. Bell,
no, they couldn't go any farther down.
Well, that's true. I was about to say, we're probably right at the floor to begin with. There he is. He's Brian Wilson, and he's just getting cranked up for the drive, and I hope you're listening every single moment. I know I will be. Mac Morey's news is first. However, have a wonderful afternoon, folks. Hug your loved ones. Have a great weekend. Hope your team wins, unless your team is the Missouri Tigers, in which case, go Dogs. Talk to you on Monday. See you then.